Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our first and what we hope will be an annual recognition of women as a part of Women's History Month. Women's History Month reflects on the political power and advocacy of women, both past and present. One thing that hasn't changed is the persistence of women and fighting for advocacy, improved working conditions, equality in healthcare, improved health outcomes, including health disparities, food deserts, and the most recent is the need to push for continued access to voting rights. Now, we and causes know that we have a strong program and we have produced such leaders in the community, and they have risen to take on the mantle of leadership as they seek to improve the conditions for the residents of the District of Columbia, as well as the DMV. So I want you to sit up, take notes on what it takes to be a leader in times such as these, and see what we have contributed to the overall improvement of all the conditions in the Washington, D.C. area. This afternoon, we will have Dr. Tia Jeffrey, one of our newer faculty members who will moderate the panel. And the panel will represent various programs within our causes college. And even though we are the newest college in the University of Virginia, we have made a great impact. So get ready and hold on to your seat. Dr. Jeffrey, I turn it on to you.
My pleasure. And thank you again for everyone for joining us. I want to do some panel introductions of our panelists as we get started. And I'll start with Sania Rose. Sania Rose is project assistant for the Environmental Quality Testing Laboratory with Water Resources Research Institute of Causes at the University of the District of Columbia. She joined the lab as a full-time staff member in 2018. Prior to that, she was an undergraduate research assistant and graduate research assistant teaching assistant in the lab from May through April for 3 years. She's worked on several projects, which include pesticide analysis in fruits and vegetables, analyzing polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons in sediment and surface water, soil analysis of arsenic, copper, and lead contamination in urban gardens in DC, and advancing irrigation systems with sensor calibration. She has also competed at several research conferences. She was instrumental in receiving the National Environmental Laboratory accreditation in the lab in potable and non-potable water for microbiology. And in addition, she is now working on the accreditation of the Environmental Quality Testing Laboratory and pesticide analysis in drinking water, surface water, and sediments. Furthermore, she has written 2 grants and received funding on the pesticide projects monitoring contaminants in the Anacostia River. In addition to her lab research, she is responsible for training interns and volunteers and assist in managing a day-to-day operation of the lab. In 2018, she became a part-time adjunct professor teaching urban water quality as an IGED course to undergraduate students. Sania earned her BS in environmental science, master's in water resources management in the PSM Professional Science Master's Program, the PSM certificate in water resource management from the university, all from the University of the District of Columbia. Welcome, Sania Rose. And we have Katrina Clark. Katrina Clark is a registered nurse who began her career with a 14-year tenure at the legendary District of Columbia General Hospital, where she was faced with many clinical challenges and chronic medical conditions, and truly testify that she gained more knowledge there than any textbook she'd ever read. Her subsequent journeys included the District of Columbia Jail, Washington Hospital Center, Providence Hospital, Unity Healthcare, among others. Katrina served as president of the District of Columbia Nurses Association for the 2019-2021 term. She is currently serving as a member on the board and cabinet and general welfare of the DCNA and as the VP with Children's School Services. She's gained a plethora of experiences in both clinical and administrative nursing and has served her community as a productive citizen and strong advocate for residents of Ward 8. At an early age, she knew that nursing was her calling and delights in building character, education, and developing friendships among those whom she's the pleasure of caring for in this life. Her service to humanity has reflected her admiration for taking care of others who cannot care for themselves. She continues to serve unconditionally with love. Welcome, Katrina, to the panel. Now we have Ashley Sheri Myers.
Hi, guys.
Now, Ashley is an architectural designer and entrepreneur with a passion for holistic living and sustainable design. At the University of the District of Columbia, Ashley learned the importance of leadership and became president of UDC's American Institute of Architecture Students chapter for 2 terms. She was also involved with causes as a research assistant and intern at the Architectural Research Institute. In the fall, I lost my spot. In the fall of 2019, she graduated with a Master of Architecture degree after defending her thesis on net zero low-income housing. She also holds a BS in Building Construction Technology and an Associate's in Architectural Drafting from Norfolk State University. She currently works as an African-American female-owned architectural firm named K. Dixon Architecture here in Washington, D.C. To further her passion for sustainable design, she's also created a design consulting business called Empower Designs to help people incorporate sustainability into their everyday lives. Welcome, Ashley. And we have Faiza Hamza. Faiza is a mother, wife, and educator. She was born in Adama, Ethiopia. While attending school at UDC, she also held a full-time position at Mary's Center as Women, Infants, and Children's breastfeeding peer counselor. She received her BS in health education in May of 2020. After earning her degree, she received a promotion to WIC nutritionist assistant. As a student at UDC, Faiza was recognized on the Dean's List for 3 semesters for her academic accomplishments. She believes that to achieve anything requires faith, vision, hard work, determination, and dedication. Welcome to the panel, Faiza.
Thank you.
And last but not least, we have our own Tornia Anderson Morgan. Tornia Anderson Morgan is currently a bariatric dietitian at LifeBridge Health. She earned her BS in nutrition and dietetics from the University District of Columbia, graduating at the top of her class in 2019. And she completed her dietetic internship at the University of Maryland Medical Center. Tornia has served on the Student Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics as president, public relations officer, and treasurer at UDC. She engaged in the community through health-related internships at the Edward C. Mazik Parent-Child Care Center, the DC Department of Health, and volunteered at the Washington Senior Wellness Center in Washington, DC. She is also a published author in the American Journal of Undergraduate Research and represented her college in the Urban Agricultural Symposium for the next Farm Bill in 2016 at George Washington University. Furthermore, Tornia has appeared in media platforms as a guest on the UDC community YouTube channel to discuss making healthy choices and on a local radio station in Brooklyn, New York. This registered dietitian and certified personal trainer is a foodie at heart, loves to create in the kitchen, and is a passionate salsa dancer. Welcome, Tornia. Hey, welcome everyone. Thanks so much for being here today. We celebrate Women's History Month. There's so many accomplishments right here at home at UDC. And to start the discussion, I would ask about your life experiences. And so which life experiences led to your aspirations to pursue your career goals and grassroots effort? I can go in order of Sania. Would you like to start?
Okay, thank you. So there are many. So I would start with growing up in Jamaica and always doing something in the environment. And then I joined the AmeriCorps after high school and working with a nonprofit organization called Groundwork Anacostia. And then attending UDC have led me to meet a lot of amazing individuals, from friends to professors to mentors, and finally family support that have guided me on this path I'm on right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Katrina.
Hello. You ready for my response to the question?
Oh, yeah. So what life experiences led to your aspirations to pursue your career and your grassroots efforts?
Okay, for one, I've had many experiences, but two particularly stand out was one being born and somewhat raised in North Carolina. I would see my grandmother leave out every morning with a crisp white uniform on, flesh tone stockings and white shoes. And I thought that my grandma was a nurse, only to find out that she worked for white folk. She was a maid. And she would work Monday through Friday, and every Saturday and Sunday she was committed to her church. And she served many leadership roles in the church. And then when my parents migrated north, we came to Washington, D.C. And my mother had a compassion and a dedication to Freedman Hospital at the time, which is now Howard University Hospital. I would see her also leave out every morning and go to work well-dressed, being on time, and making sure that she had a professional attitude about her workplace. That's when I decided that I wanted to pursue a career in nursing. And it wasn't until I graduated in 2003 with my associate degree from the University of the District of Columbia, where I developed a rapport with the professors, but I knew Dr. Broadneck from working with her at DC General. And our professors in the nursing program, they never forgot about the students that they taught. And so I was always asked when was I going to return to the classroom to obtain my BSN. So when monies became available, they called me. And I was shocked because years had passed. They called me and they said, well, Katrina, we received a grant. Are you interested in coming back to school? And so the grant was free. Everything was going to be paid for. So how can I turn down a free grant to come back to nursing school when our nursing professors made sure that they taught us the characteristics and skill set and evidence-based practice of being an excellent leader? So I said, of course. And in addition to that, I even passed out 20 or more applications at my current job, which is Children's School Services. And only, I think, 4 nurses responded to this free education. So attending the baccalaureate program at UDC in nursing led me to a grassroots effort in my neighborhood, in my community, because I live in Ward 8 and there's a lot that needs to be changed back then and still, but we're working on it, changes in the community. So I started to participate in the ANC Commission Ward events. I started attending meetings to be exposed to the needs assessments of the communities and the planning on how they was going to change Anacostia and how the strategies were they going to take and change in this area. So I see now the fruition of, the hard work and labor, first through Myron Berry, who saw this vision years ago. And now I see it coming into fruition. So that was my way of expressing and learning more about this community and how to apply the education I received on a associate degree level at UDC. So I could have worked at any hospital in the DMV, and I decided to work at DC Journal, where we serve the most vulnerable population. And the word got out through our patients. They would go and tell people how well they were treated at DC General Hospital, even though they did not have to pay a penny to come into the hospital. They was provided treatment from mental illness all the way to orthopedic issues, and they did not have to pay. So they would go out and tell the community that they wanted to go, that they receive excellent care at DC General. And there were those who would even come by in the 80s who had been involved in multiple gunshot wounds, stabbings. They would say, take me to DC General. So it spread throughout the community that we were a hospital that cared about those, the indigent population. We cared about them, and they was guaranteed to be taken care of when they came to DC General. So I'm very thankful to my professors in the nursing program at UDC, because they have exposed me and others to so many concerns and social ills in the district, and taught us how to apply our nursing education and our skill set and evidence-based practice to have a better outcome of our patients.
Thank you, Ms. Katrina. And moving with Ashley, how's your life experiences help shape your goals and grassroots efforts?
I would say my access to knowledge over time. Can you hear me okay? So the more I learned about my impact on the environment, I think that kind of influenced the way I wanted to go into a niche in terms of architecture, because I realized that buildings, construction, materials, all of that has such an impact on the environment. And I think I started thinking about those types of things when I became vegan, and before that vegetarian. So over time, self-experiences that I went through with my change in my lifestyle informed how I was going to move and practice in my profession. UDC had a huge part in that too, when I got to go on the green roof, and I learned more about sustainable applications through our urban sustainability classes in the architecture department. So I think a bunch of little things led up to this. I also like to say I was born to be a designer. My dad was in construction. He had his own construction company, and my mom was architectural draftsman in high school, and then went to Howard and started her Howard career as a architectural designer. Changed, but it was all in the foundation already. So I just decided to go with it. And the more I learned about the lack of representation for people like us, made me want to start going into more of the leadership role and entrepreneur route, so I can start opening these gates, open the doors for people to know that these things are all possible.
Yeah, thank you. And these remarks are very insightful.
Thank you.
And yeah, one thing leads to another in our journeys. Faiza, how about you?
Hi.
Hi.
Hello, everyone. My desire in this career is a strong desire to healthcare field. I enjoy working with people. I enjoy helping people. I used to work as a medical interpreter, where I meet different people from my communities and the people that looks like me. I felt studying in medical field will allow me to give back to my community, and with the knowledge and skills, I can be able to give back. When people see me, they seem happy. So I figured I'm for it, and I should study in a public health, and that is what I wanted to do. And I think it's being exposed to the healthcare field for long term gave me an idea of what I wanted to do.
Yeah, thank you. And Tornia.
Yes, I'm going to try not to go too far back in time. And just as a reminder, I'm a dietitian, professional nutritionist, as some might know it, just to help those who may not have known that. Okay, so I would say I started off as a little girl when I just wanted to be rich and travel the world. And then I'm like, okay, as I grew up, I got to figure a way how to make all this money. So just becoming an adult is like, okay, now you're sampling professions and I had no idea I was going to be in this. This was not part of the plan at all. It was just to travel the world and sail yachts and whatnot. But anyway, so as I just went through life, navigating adulthood and sampling different fields, I'm a passionate person. So if I didn't really enjoy it, I'm like, next, and I move on to the next thing. So it was a combination of getting into health, and it was because of my own health flaws. I'm like, okay, I'm getting kind of heavy over here. These other issues are happening. I need to address that. And then also my curiosity and type A combination. So it's like, I want to know what's going on with me and my body, and I want to understand it. And then noticing that preventable diseases, at the time I didn't know that's what it was called, was very widespread and normal in my family and friends and just close circle. So just wanting to understand where that was coming from, how we can connect it. Eventually became a trainer. It's like, well, you need to watch how you eat too. Okay, let's learn about food. And then I got the degree in nutrition and dietetics, because this is how you manage your food with your health. Okay, so I became a dietitian, but it was step by step along the way. And as someone else said before, just learning and figuring out, oh, there's a profession something I can enjoy, that can help me in my own challenges and potentially help others. It can't really take me around the world a whole lot just yet, but but I really enjoyed it. It's fun. So yeah, just all those little things that just add up to my own personality. And here I am.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Yeah, that registered when you said type A. So yeah, there's our dietetics majors and dietitians. We're still type A. And then moving into our next part of our discussion, how is your season as a student with all your academic achievements and outreach roles, which are plenty in UDC and causes. So how have those things shaped the type of leader that you guys are right now? I can go in the same order as before or different.
Okay. So for me, as a student, I've received like awards for competing, winning, for presenting research projects, being a president in the Environmental Sustainability Leadership Club, earning scholarships, and being a graduate and teacher's assistant. These have all played a role in me becoming the leader I am in my current role in the lab. So I went on to continue doing more research to educating other people. So I'm grateful for the opportunities that I've been given at UDC, the mentorship, the professors I could rely on, friends. So it have given me that opportunity to give back, to support, to educate, and to keep especially women, because like I said, I'm just the only woman actually that I've ever been a staff in my field in the lab right now. So I just wanted to impact more females to get into the STEM program. That's very vital for me. Thank you.
And thank you for leading the way, being the pioneer woman as part of this movement. So Katrina? About you.
Forest died and it became stumps. The main thing it did was Katrina hovered.
Oh, Katrina, do you hear me?
I was on mute, I apologize.
Oh, no problem.
The impact for me was the mentoring of the professors in the nursing program. Our professors made sure that we were exposed to different things in the community. I remember going up to, I didn't even know UDC had a farm, and they sponsored a trip to go up to the farm and see how the Urban Sustainability Program causes had a farm, and they were growing their own collards and strawberries and growing and fish and what have you. And I was amazed by that. And then and also throughout the semester, Mrs. Songway will have the seniors come up to UDC, part of our gerontology class, and we would volunteer and take blood pressures. Dr. Broadnex would participate in the NBC health fairs on a yearly basis or annual basis, and she would ask who wants to volunteer. So it meant a lot to go out into the community and perform jobs, and they were free. I mean, there was no charge. And sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you have to go out and do things and don't ask for money. Just give a little, because we get so much, it's all right to give some back. And I was elected while in school as the class president. And I remember Dr. Broadnex asking, are leaders born or created? And I can't remember what the outcome was, but I believe that it was, you have to be innate. That skill has to be innate in you, so you're born with it. So listening to Dr. Broadnex talk about integrity and compassion and things of that sort made me be the leader that I am today, or helped me be the leader that I am today. I'm very open, I'm very honest, I'm transparent, and I allow others to speak their opinion or express how they feel before decisions are made, because I believe it's a collaborative effort. You need everyone's input as a leader in order to make the right or final decision. So my exposure, the mentoring of my professors, education, and just my volunteer work will stay with me for the rest of my life. So I thank the nursing program for that exposure.
Thank you for that. Yeah, when you mentioned the farm, I remember I thought it was the best kept secret when I first stepped foot on this campus too. Had no idea UDC had a farm either.
Yeah.
Then moving to Ashley, how has that been for you?
It was interesting. Being that I was in the accelerated master's program at UDC for architecture, I did everything faster than everyone else in terms of, we did a studio every semester instead of a studio 1 year at a time for 4 years. So it was 4 studios in 2. So it was fast, but it made it so I got to know everyone. And then when I became president of the organization, AIAS, it was kind of easier to connect with all the students. And I would say that my time at UDC taught me patience and adaptability. Patience with when you're trying to teach or talk to other people, deal with other people. Some people are not going to be on your understanding level. Some people might not be feeling that great that day. So you might have to come at a problem or a task that you need them to do if they're one of your officers, a different way than just direct. Adaptability in the fact that not everything's going to go your way. I had events that people didn't come to. I had to do on the fly flyers to put up. Things you just have to, you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And on the patient part, the quote I'll say is from Clarence Pearson. He was my professor at UDC. And he said, you don't know what you don't know. So that was one of the things I tell myself more and more when I'm dealing with other people is, if they don't know, don't get mad and don't get, in your feelings about it. It's not what you said. Maybe they just don't know what they don't know. Say it again, say it a different way. Pretty much.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you.
Well,
There's a lot of practical advice that we could all use. And Faiza, how about you? How was your?
Hi. Definitely my education has contributed, has high contributed to my career today. I work in a woman and infant and children program as a nutritionist assistant now. I received my degree in health education, but it gave me an opportunity to also be a nutritionist assistant, even though I did not study nutrition, but because of all the classes that were given at UDC, all the skills, all the knowledge, all the projects, and taking, classes in nutrition, and health education. All those classes contributed highly in my performance at work. I'm able to comfortably do my job due to the education I received at UDC, all the tools that my professors provided me, in the education system that I was given. So it did provide me with a great resource, and I'm able to use that resource at my new position. And I'm grateful for all my professors that prepare me to be who I am today.
Thank you. Yeah, and that shows that every building blocks experience you've had led to, where you are now. At Tornia, how's all your leadership roles?
Yeah, so many roles, so many things. I still look back and like, how did I even do all of that? I don't even know sometimes, but people still ask me. I don't even remember. It just kind of got it done. So with dietetics, you learn about all the sciences and all the disease states and how to treat these disease states. And different populations of people and nutritional this and that and all those fun things. So the program itself on the academic side was excellent. I was well prepared. That was great. However, I became an outpatient dietitian, which means I'm talking to the layman, the person who's not necessarily in a coma or intubated. So I need to make sure that I can communicate with my patients in a way that is appropriate for them. They can understand me when I'm done speaking with them. And they at the same time motivated enough to take all this stuff I'm telling them and somehow apply it to their everyday life and make improvements. So for me, a lot of my internships and volunteer this and that was filling in some of the gaps I didn't get in the academic side of things. So volunteering at the Senior Wellness Center, I got to be among a bunch of seniors for an extended period of time regularly. They got to know me. And anyone who works with seniors will know when they get comfortable, they can say almost anything. So that was fun. Like, oh my gosh, okay. So there's that. So with the farm, you guys mentioned the farm. So I spent a summer on the farm, toiling the soil and doing all of that fun stuff. And I've never spent so much time picking produce, not even all my years in Trinity put together, than I did that summer on the UDC farm. It was nice though, it was a great experience. Learning from the agricultural side of the program, and even with a little bit of architecture with the urban sustainability style. Dr. Richardson is the best. So I learned a lot from different angles of food, sustainability, health, environments, because everything can't be crammed into just one degree. And I didn't really want to do all those degrees. So I got a nice diverse angle from different sides, working with different groups. And so those experiences gave me information that I can relate to my patients when they're like, yeah, well, I don't eat organic because it's so deadly for you, or inorganic, or whichever. And I can speak to experiences, even if I didn't do it myself, but would have shared with other people through other internships and whatnot. I can just relate to them better and to more people better. So that definitely helps me in my role. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Mhm.
And then speaking of the adjustments you all have had to make as leaders, this brings me to our next question. What kinds of adjustments have you all had to just all of a sudden rise to the occasion with in your work environment ever since the start of this COVID-19 pandemic? So Sania, how about you in the lab or in other
Ugh,
roles you have?
yeah, that one was it was a bit rough. Yeah, it was a lot of push and pull on those virtual calls. Sanya, you gotta be patient. Dr. Dexys, I would say. So I would say it would have been quite an adjustment because I like working with my hands. I'm old school, so I like seeing people, like talking with people. So sitting back and doing a lot of the office stuff at home was, yeah, driving me all over the place. But now I'm glad that I get to do a little bit of both. I'm back like twice a week in the lab, and then I get to work from home some days. So that's good for me. But like Ashley said earlier, it's all about learning patience and learning how to be adaptive because things don't always change, and you have to be able to roll with the changes, and like water, you just go with the flow. Thank you.
I like that. Go with the flow. Yeah. How about Katrina?
Yes, hi. Nurses, we have healing hands, if you will. The power of touching, the transmission of spirituality when you touch, and you sincere about your touches. So I've had to make many adjustments and allow myself to be flexible. And I remember Dr. Broadneck's always stating, be ye ever ready. Be ye ever ready, because you never know what's going to happen. So nurses, we adjust very well and we're flexible to a lot of things. However, this pandemic was one of full of uncertainties, and everyone was afraid because this particular virus was killing people. So of course there was a fear involved, but I had to quickly get over that if I wanted to maintain my employment and continue to live as is. So our first job assignment was we stayed at home and we did virtual calls like we're doing now. That was very boring to me. It was very boring, but it was necessary. And then we was contracted with Department of Health to go down to screen calls and triage callers for COVID and do contact tracing. And once the funds ran out there, then we were moved back into the school system. And that was hard because we had to keep our distance from these babies. Now I'm dealing with children that has already gone through acute childhood experiences from birth all the way up to the age they are now, which range from pre 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 3-year-old all the way to fifth graders. So I'm having to keep my distance, and that was hurtful because they are used to Nurse Clark giving them a hug, treat them like they're my own children, grandchildren, nieces, or whatever. And I couldn't do that no longer because of this pandemic. So I had to adjust myself and be more flexible. I had to transition from being a community health nurse to a public health nurse. I had to test these babies, if they were asymptomatic or symptomatic. I have to test them. I have to send off lab work. I have to fill out lab slips. I have to do contact tracing. Well, who was this child exposed to if they did present with symptoms at the home? Everything. We had to receive these children, regardless of whether they had updated health certificates, dental certificates, and what have you. We still had to allow them to come to school because it's a pandemic. So no one is taking their children to the doctors right now. So it's been hard, but we have to do what we need to do for the children in these most vulnerable populations, in these neighborhoods where care is not given or is not the first priority in some of these homes. So, I can't say it enough. Be ever ready. You have to do what you need to do when the time arrives. You have to do what you need to do. So, that's what I'm doing. I'm protecting myself first, but I'm still providing care to the most vulnerable population in Washington, D.C.
And thank you for that. And if there's ever a time that we've had to develop the utmost respect for nursing, it's been right now, this year.
Yeah.
Now, Ashley, in the world of design and architecture, how's that adjustment been?
Fortunately, design was already kind of going virtually. We were already doing things like drafting, doing rendering, or like photorealistic images of our design concepts on the computer. So it was just getting the other parts together. Stupid lighting here. I want me to be in the dark. Okay, I have the light. So it was just getting the communications together, being able to communicate with clients that aren't used to Zoom, getting able to get them to see and understand the design concepts through the flat screen, because sometimes it helps if you are there to walk them through. You can give them samples and let them touch, so that you have to adjust those things that we're used to doing. But overall, I think we were very blessed in the fact that we didn't have to do much adjustment, that things were already going towards this whole 360 cloud type of deal. So I've been able to work with a company, and their people are in like Georgetown, people in New York, PA, even Middle East. So we've been able to still do it virtually. So it's been very, very good, but lonely to be in your house and talk to everyone and not meet them. But we make do, so I can't complain.
No, that's interesting to say that the technology that you all have already been doing. And I think that some things with all of us are not going to change with that, even after this is over. So, Faiza, how's it been?
Hi. For me, since the pandemic, I still have to be present in the office, but we don't have to see any clients. But of course, providing Zoom classes for nutrition, for breastfeeding, and that's been completely what we do. But and definitely phone calls, all day phone calls are, providing nutrition education. The most challenging part was that we can do breastfeeding support close to each other because of that challenge is not be able to show the mothers how to position their babies, and that's a little difficult, but we're doing that on Zoom, through Zoom as well. Other than that, I think most mothers are happy that they are home, they don't need to leave the house, and we still can provide them that services. That makes me happy that they don't have to take so many kids with them, or they don't have to leave the house after giving birth, and that is something great that I'll say. But I still have to go to work, so that's my thing, that I'm not at home.
Yes, it's definitely a variety of people who have to work outside of home and work at home. So it's nice that the moms can at least be at home.
Yes.
So Tornia, in the world of dietetics.
It was a mess. For me, it was a hot mess. I think my mental health suffered a lot, especially in February when things were just becoming so real and so local. Cases are hitting the US. The numbers are going up. It's spreading from case to case. So during this time, I was still a dietetic intern. I was about to start, where was I? I was dietetic intern. Don't remember which rotation. So then eventually, because we're all panicking, we're all scared, now we have a COVID positive toll in the hospital. We're worried the whole hospital was just going to become positive overnight. So we're sent home to do internship from home for a month. And because it was such a trial and error situation. We got burned a lot. There was a lot of work. It was a whole lot. It was a whole lot and very stressful. After that month, we're back in the hospital. We're like, you can't learn how to treat someone who's intubated and hadn't eaten in 5 days and at risk for all these things and suffering. You can't learn to treat that person from home. You need to be in the hospital. Okay, so we go back. We're all scared. I'm scared. Numbers are climbing. Our local numbers in the hospital are climbing. Family positive is climbing. So there was a lot of mental stress. And the challenge came with trying to balance all that this is going on with you just being scared. There's limited PPE. You're being rationed 1 mask a day when we used to have 1 mask per room. People are stealing equipment that's already limited. So there was that. You have randomly positive persons just on the unit and nobody knew. So now you're concerned, you touched that phone that someone else touched. And so there was a lot of anxiety. And then on top of that, you had the national unrest with all the injustices brought to light and publicized. And at that same time, leading into April, during my staff relief, now you have that elevated expectation, because now is where you show how much of a great dietitian you're going to be based on all the things you've just learned. So increased expectations, triple the stress. It was really rough, but eventually the attitude at the end of the day was, hey, suck it up. We're all just going to suck it up and just get to it. I mean, there were moments when some of us had to just excuse ourselves and breathe and just reset, because we needed that just to continue for the next hour or two even. But in the end, we did it. We did well. We just eventually had to adjust and just get it done. And it is over. Yay. And now we're here. And as far as work is concerned, since then, I do have the privilege of working from home most days, which is great. Since I'm such a social butterfly, I do miss people's faces. And even if I don't have to go into the office, I go anyway, just because I miss people. But for the most part, it's been doable. Still challenging, but doable. Yes.
Yes, this has proved how we're more resilient than we thought we were.
Yeah.
Well, this. So now that we're speaking of all the unrest that you mentioned, it's in this, racial and other social issues, there's also been a gradual paradigm shift among women as leaders in the workplace and society. We've witnessed changes in policy on equal pay rights, the Me Too movement, and the election of our very first Black, South Asian, and female Vice President of the United States. So even with all of that, what are some misconceptions about where we are as women at this point? And what will it take to keep this momentum moving in the right direction?
Okay. Oh, I gotta get deep on this one. So to me, I feel like the misconceptions are that if we are successful, they're saying we're not capable of working hard to get to the top. So if we are there, it is because we sleep our way to the top, or we're too emotional, too difficult to work with, can't make important decisions. We can't work the long hours because we have to provide for our families. We have to raise the kids. We have to be the wives, so. However, we as women, we have overcome a lot to prove how capable we are to be leaders in our field, to make decisions on how to successfully run a company, for instance. So it is so great that there are so many women in power right now, but to keep that momentum going in the right direction, we have to keep up the support for each other, mentor each other, inspire each other, because we can dominate in these fields. We don't have to feel inferior to men. And if we have the education, the qualification, we should be paid equally as men. We shouldn't have to fight for that right. So that's what I believe in.
Yeah, thank you for that.
The misconceptions about where we are as women, to me, is that we think we have arrived and we have broken this glass ceiling. But in reality, this is the United States, and they still have a lack of respect for us as women. Because even today, even though we have this vice president of color, and like she said, we are changing things slowly but surely, there are women that are still being sex slaves, being sold into sex trafficking, still being abused physically, mentally, still not receiving the same pay as a man doing the same job. The Me Too movement was great, and it needed to be. I think those women should have spoken out because they deserve to be respected and not taken advantage of. But we just live in a society that's just not ready for that. I mean, I don't know how young you all are, but James Brown made a record. This is a man's world. And until we get rid of these old men in powerful positions, we may still have to deal with a lot of things from one moment to the next, because I have to admit, this is a man's world, but women are getting stronger and making strides. In order to keep this momentum going, I think that we as women, we need to continue to fight, continue to get jobs where it's dominated by men. We need to change laws that degrade our essence and know our self-worth, because we are creators of nations. And that's where I am at with that.
Thank you. In that regard.
So I guess something I think that we can change, or that's a misconception, is this the fact that women who have standards or speak up are bossy or the B word, or it gets taken like I'm the angry Black woman. I tell you I don't want that like that, do it like this. And I think that's something that we can work on somewhat, but I think it's more so the other, if you guys get what I'm saying. It's the way they receive the things that we say. If you already think that what I'm gonna say is gonna offend you before I say it, then no matter how I say it backwards or forwards, you're gonna take it how you take it. So I think that's more of a call to action on other people's parts. But in our sense, I think there's also misconception with women empowerment. I feel like that's just like one of those hashtag words now. People throw it out there, but are you really checking on your fellow designer, your fellow dietitian, your fellow nurses, your lab technicians? Are we fostering community so that we can vent to one another and talk about what we go through in this crazy world with pandemics and whatnot? So I feel like that's some of the way we can stop looking at it like a crabs in the barrel mentality, where there's only one person that can sit at the top that looks like us. We can all sit up there. There's enough room at the table, enough food at the table for all of us to eat. So I think just making it more of a welcoming and truly empowering community amongst us, I think will help a lot.
For me, the misconception, oh, you guys can hear me? Okay. The misconception, I would say, is being a woman, it's being hard, and being a Muslim woman, even, it's double, because you show the identity, and people may think of your scarf as oppressed, or they can identify you in many ways. So I think that's the misconception, but I feel it's getting better. Seeing women of hijab women in a Congress, and seeing a color woman in the leaderships, I think, is helping the society understand that Muslim women are not just oppressed, or they're independent and they are educated. And I think that says all. What we can do is, I think, educate one another and help one another, support in every position that we have. I work with a lot of women, so I hear a lot of stories, and I see a lot of mothers that that in need of support, that they don't have the support. Looking at the single mothers having not getting the support is difficult. So I think providing any woman that is in need of support and referral to places where she can go, such as educating herself and providing school system for mothers that needs it. I think those that can help fix that misconception.
Yes, that was good. And I don't think I can add a whole lot, because the other four ladies did a great job of tackling almost every point when it comes to women and any kind of sexism or anything like that. I can add, I feel like there might be something with us not being, we as women, not being associated enough with leadership and success as do our male counterparts. I mean, we think about successful women, and I think 9 out of 10 people might just say Oprah. That's just, I think, global knowledge, right? But we can call out Bill Gates and Elon Musk and so much many other men much faster than we can women. So that association, and maybe it has to do with image. I feel like we're judged much more by how we appear. So Michelle Obama comes up for inauguration. Oh, that outfit, she rocked the outfit, right? It was all about how she appeared, and she slayed, and which is all well, and I agree with all of them. But how often do you see headlines about some male leader and we're commenting on and his appearance, you know, the shoes, oh, that belt was dope. Nobody's saying that. So there's that too, that image that we latch on to women so much and not share enough about what they're doing, their internal worth versus what they just appear to be. You know, it's always these superficial things that the media, not necessarily us, but we recognize our worth and values. But I feel like that the media, for the most part, focuses on that outward appearance, those superficial things that are not worth as much.
Thank you all. This very powerful remarks. And yet it speaks to, you know, this history of women being regarded as property. And so they could just dispel all of that. It's going to take a lifelong path. So in the interest of time, I do have one more question, or more so a piece of advice that we can close with. So what piece of advice would you give our current students who are aspiring to make all these valuable contributions and more in their chosen profession?
Oh, I would say keep believing in yourself and your dreams, to challenge yourself, to be eager to learn new skills and to teach others. And you don't have to prove yourself to anyone. Let your success speak for you, that you deserve a seat at the table, and don't be afraid to speak up for what you believe in.
With this generation, they're not afraid. They are going to do things that provoke change. But in addition to that, I would say, as Dr. Martin Luther King, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Continue to advance yourselves in education, and you can change the world. As Mark Anthony stated, choose a job you love, and you will never work a day in your life. Choose a job you love, because what you love, you will be best at it. With your education and choosing a job that you love, it will be more rewarding. It will be more of a choice than a burden. So just because young people continue to do what you're doing, you are changing the world one day at a time.
For me, I think it would be get comfortable with change. You know, and because it's the only thing constant in life is change. So get comfortable with it. It's not going to stop when you graduate, and it's definitely not going to stop while you're in school. So just get comfortable with it, adapt, feel faster is something I would say. I was always so worried about it being nice, especially in architecture. You want the line to be straight. I throw it away, do it again, do it again. But if I didn't have a floor plan to show at the end of the semester, what was it all for? The line could have been very straight, but if that's all I had, then what? So the faster you fail, the faster you can get to your goal, the faster you can figure out, okay, that's not what I need to do. I need to do this. Because if you don't, then you'll never know what's on the other side of it. So just keep going.
One of my advice for current students is to get an opportunity before graduation, to get into volunteer, to take your internship seriously, and join or go to work or start working with like very similar to your position or what you wanted to study on. So you know exactly what you wanted to do, because going to a work, if you don't enjoy it, it is not healthy, definitely, and you may change your mind later on. You may not be happy about it. So I think knowing what you're going to be doing or having an idea of what your field will look like will help you decide earlier on that you wanted to be in that field.
Yes, I'd say assume success now. Just assume it's going to work out and it's going to be fine. And how you get there, there's going to be a million ways to get there. You'll figure it out. Once you try, of course, it's not going to fall out of the sky, but just assume that success. And I'm going to take a line from a TikToker. I don't even know who it is. TikTok, don't get TikTok if you're not on TikTok. But they were basically saying, channel your inner Brad and ask yourself, what would Brad do? And the meaning behind this is ask yourself what a very, very confident, typical cis white male would do. And even though I don't have that much experience firsthand or anything, the idea is they're bold. They just kind of go for what they want and they just do it anyway. I mean, they don't need to be educated. They want to run for president anyway, type thing. So, hey, if Brad could do it or whoever else is just gonna go for it, don't assume that just because, start short selling yourself, and start short guessing yourself, but I didn't, and I never, and I wonder, and I just go and see what happens. And if it doesn't happen, fine, move on. But just assume that you're gonna be successful and just take it from there.
Thank you. And just assume that you already failed if you didn't even try. So you might as well try. Thank you everyone for joining us. And as we can see our beautiful panel, everyone, if you have the hand clap and emoticons, we're going to use mine. This has been a wonderful discussion with you all. And I admire how each and every one of you are breaking that, helping break that glass ceiling right now. And encourage your continued success. And thank you for this wonderful piece of advice to our current students who are also, many are also working adults too. So I thank you again. And before we close out, Dr. Maiden, is there anything you wanted to add before we close?
Sure. So this has been a wonderful presentation, a panel discussion. On behalf of Dean Jones, I would like to thank Dr. Broadness for your welcome. Of course, you, Dr. Jeffrey, for moderating the event, and our wonderful panelists who shared your experiences, your challenges, your success, and wonderful words of advice. So we thank you and best of luck.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you guys for having us. This has been great. Rainy day, but this was good. This was nice. It kind of brightened it up a little bit.
Yeah, please keep it moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you
My
for the invite.
pleasure.
Thank you all.
Mhm.
Thank
My
you.
pleasure. Anytime.
Hi, guys. I have a question before, not for everyone, though. I was wondering if this has been recorded or anything,
Yes, it is being recorded.
and if I could get my hands on it somehow, Miss Tia Jeffrey, maybe I can contact you on a separate note.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you so much.
Hi, Professor Simmons.
Hey, how are you?
So proud of your accomplishments.
Thank you so
proud.
much. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I have a question.
We
Excuse
all
me.
get it from Dr. Brynack. Be he ever
Hey,
ready. I
hey,
always
Brenda.
always.
Hi.
Thank
You're
you.
gonna live a long
Trina,
I have a
give it
question about the recording. Will you all send this out in an email to the participant? I mean, for everybody who joined in today, or do we have to request the recording?
Did you, I think we have your information if you were, registered. Did you register or did you log on to the presentation? Either way, we can make sure you get it.
Yeah, I just had to click on. That's all I had to do.
Oh, okay. So if you, I'll tell you what, I'll put my email in the chat.
Okay.
Because when we have the presentation available, I'll just, make sure you receive it with that method. So let me just do that right now.
Okay.
It's tia.jeffrey@udc.edu, but the last name is ERY, not REY. A lot of emails get kicked back to me, so just letting you know ahead of time.
It's tia.jeffrey@udc.edu.
Yes.
Okay.
Putting it in right now. Okay, so it's in the chat as well. Okay.
Thank you.
May I just say one more thing, please? Because I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if I didn't thank Dr. Jean Baptiste. She is an excellent pathophysiology teacher. I would literally just look into her mouth as she would explain these diseases and what have you. She was so interesting to watch and to learn from. And I have to thank her for that. I have to thank her for that before I get off this call. Dr. Jean-Baptiste is an excellent professor in pathophysiology. She breaks that thing down where you understand it like it's your ABCs. And I have to thank her for that. Yeah, I have to thank her for that. She said, Katrina, you would be looking in my mouth, and I was wondering. But she gets you so involved. Oh my God. I love that lady. I love you, Dr. Baptiste and Mrs. Songwed. I just had to say that before I got off the call. And Dr. Broadness know we got Carolina love.
Goodbye, everyone, and take care. Stay safe.
Thank
Oh,
you.
hi. How do I get the recording?
Have a good night.
Is there?
I put my email in the chat.
It's not showing.
It's not?
No, I'm not seeing it.
That's weird. Okay, let me go ahead and do that again.
Okay, and then we can just email you and ask.
Okay, now I know why it didn't come up at first. I sent it to everyone, but then it said everyone in waiting room, and obviously there's nobody in the waiting room. So
Okay, it's there now. So we can just make reference about today's presentation, the women's. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
All right. Thank you.
So now do you see the email? Because I've just put
Yes.
it. Okay.
All right. Have a good evening.
All right, thank you. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good night.